And welcome back to The Watchman. We are still here on Israel's Golan Heights. Right behind me, less than a mile away, is one of the hottest hot zones in the world, Syria. And we're with our founder and chairman of Christians United for Israel, the one and only Pastor John Hagee. And Pastor, wow, you know, we've been talking about this for years. You've been leading the charge, warning about the Iranian regime. Yes. And now we see it all hitting the fan, absolutely, I guess you would say. What are your thoughts on this latest provocation by the Iranian regime?
The American people need to know that the head of the snake in the Middle East is Iran. Iran sponsors, trains, and equips Hamas and Hezbollah. Those are two very large terrorist organizations that are on the border of the state of Israel. And so when Americans hear Hamas and Hezbollah, the issue in the Middle East is Iran, and our president has done a great thing in helping Israel by nixing that nuclear deal. It's very, very advantageous for Israel because Iran fully intends to destroy Israel. When you have thousands of citizens in the streets chanting month after month, year after year, death to the Jews, that's what they intend to do.
And death to America.
Absolutely. When someone in history threatens to kill you, you need to pay attention. Yeah. Whenever Hitler said that he was going to destroy the Jews, people said, well, he's just having a bad day. But that didn't prove to be true. Iran is threatening to destroy Israel and the Jewish people, and they mean to do it. And when they get a nuclear capability to destroy the Jewish people, they will use it even if they know other nations are going to retaliate with nuclear force. Some of the leaders have said, so half of us are murdered or killed, we all go to heaven. That's their idea.
And I think of those Iranian ballistic missiles as well that they're working on that can travel long distances, Pastor. Last question. We're here, again, less than 24 hours after a major Iranian attack on Israeli territory. We're here as Christians United for Israel. We have a delegation right here on the Golan Heights. We're meeting with the Israel Defense Forces. Talk about the impact we're having, Pastor, at CUFI, and if you can also mention why it's so important for folks back home to attend our Washington Summit on July 23rd and 24th in D.C.
Let's talk about the impact of CUFI. Never in the history of Christianity has there been created what God has created through CUFI in the past year since 2006. And here's how that works. One, it was one thing for Christians to unify as a religious block of people to support the Jewish people because we have a Bible mandate to do that. Any Christian who can read the Bible fully understands, beginning at Genesis 1:1, that God clearly intended to bless the Jewish people and intended for the nations of the world to bless the Jewish people. So here we are as a Christian nation, and we now have 4.1 million people who will respond by sending an email to Washington or make a phone call to Washington to a senator or to a congressman that's taking a stand against Israel. We also have a 501c4. Citizens call them lobbyists, and they go see people who are in discord with the state of Israel.
And we're pushing for pro-Israel legislation in Congress.
We are a one-issue organization, Israel, Israel, and Israel. And our objective is that the grassroots empowers our voices in Washington, and our voices in Washington empower the grassroots.
It's a movement.
We now have access to the ambassadors of both Israel and America on a first-name basis. We now have access to the highest levels of government on a first-name basis. There are wonderful, wonderful things happening that have never, ever happened in the history of Christianity before. And that's why coming to our national summit in Washington, D.C., the 22nd and 23rd and 24th of July, is that when we pack that auditorium with 5,000 or 6,000 people, it sends a message to America and to the world the strength of our organization. And I encourage every person watching this television program right now that you immediately make plans to be in Washington on those dates, because we're going to go see your congressman and your senator standing up for Israel, and that's what the Bible says to do. For Zion's sake, I will not be silent, because to see evil and not call it evil is evil. Not to speak is to speak, and God will not hold us blameless. Therefore, we need to show up in force in Washington, D.C. this July.
Pastor, thank you so much from the Golan Heights. Wow, exciting to be here. We live in exciting times. Thanks, Pastor.
Yes, we do.
As always, we appreciate it.
Thank you, Eric. God bless you for what you do. You're doing a fabulous job here. And God bless you and all of the listeners and all of our partners at CUFI.
Up next, my final thoughts on Iran's war against Israel and why it is doomed to failure. It's The Watchman. It's CUFI, only right here on TBN from Jerusalem. Stick around.